What if Transformers had a racing game in the style of Mario Kart? What if you could race around as your favorite Transformers characters, chaotically throwing around Transformers-themed powers and items on race courses themed after classic locations from the Transformers franchise? This is Designing Transformers Kart. For a while earlier this year, Alex and I were playing Mario Kart 8 years old. We were the greatest racers of all time, and we brought the island nation of Japan to its knees. On these phone calls, we started musing about Transformers Kart, the gameplay, characters, items, courses. Here's what we came up with. Countless franchise racing games try to differentiate themselves from Mario Kart, but the end result is that they just suck. They're just boring. We agree that if we want Transformers Kart to be good, we literally just have to make a carbon copy of Mario Kart with a Transformer coat of paint. Alex asked how the actual karts would work. Would they just be riding inside each other? I had a better idea. What if we drew inspiration from Mario Kart's fourth game, Double Dash? In Double Dash, there are 2 racers per vehicle. One handles the items, the other handles driving. With the press of the Z button, the characters would switch spots. This allowed you to be strategic with your use of items. You had 2 item boxes, each was linked to one of the characters. Switching the characters back and forth would let you choose which item you used first. That's literally the only way that Double Dash is functionally different from the other games. So, what if we had 2 Transformers partnered, once again, one in vehicle mode and one in robot mode riding on top of them. Pressing the Z button or whatever makes them switch places, transforming in place so that the former vehicle is now riding the former driver. That way, we maintain the strategic item usage from Double Dash and incorporate transformation into the game in the most organic and non-intrusive way possible. In line with standard Mario Kart games, there'd be options for single-player, multiplayer, online play, and Cybertronian DataNet.
The Cybertronian DataNet?
Which is the equivalent of Mario Kart 8's Mario Kart TV, where you can watch back specific races you've marked as worth archiving.
Now that's odd.
Within single-player, multiplayer, and online play, you'd have 4 base options. Grand Prix, a standard race through 4 courses at a time. Time trials, race against your own personal records on the courses.
How'd I do? Same as last time?
Same as the last 20 times.
Versus mode, which lets you customize the gameplay elements of your race, like items, courses, and teams. And Great War mode, the equivalent of battle mode, where you can duke it out in various battle arenas with a variety of game modes. Art style-wise, I would definitely want the game to have its own distinct visual identity. After the aligned continuity fell apart, Hasbro opted for an aligned visual depiction of the characters across every new continuity. For example, every Optimus we've seen for the last half-decade or so has been heavily rooted in the evergreen design. Meanwhile, fan artists have been making awesome Optimus designs like this, and I'd far rather see the latter. KATZE'S is an artist I've worked with in the past. She did the character designs for my Transformers Combaticons proof of concept pilot, and I definitely imagine Transformers Kart in her art style just translated into 3D. In her Transformers AU, which stands for Alternate Universe, Transformers GAIAVERSE, she's done a lot of incredible redesigns. When talking about the characters, I'm gonna be using images from like Cyberverse, G1, Prime, etc. But just imagine that they're in her art style, and then it'll look way cooler in your head. Finally, the game would have unlockables. Several characters and courses would not be available to play until you make some sort of simple accomplishment, such as winning first place in prior races, perhaps as specific characters. Basically just Mario Kart Wii, because the dopamine rush when you unlock something in that game is unparalleled. Speaking of characters, we'd like to give the game 20 playable characters, 5 pairs of Autobots, and 5 pairs of Decepticons. The first 6 characters would be available immediately, and the remaining 4 pairs would be unlockable later. And of course, these could be mix and matched in any combination you want. Several characters would have alternate color options available, similar to the Yoshis and Shy Guys in Mario Kart 8. So the total number of characters would be more than 20. The first 2 character slots would be Optimus and Bumblebee, because literally, who else would they be? They are the Mario and Luigi of this franchise. From the Bumblebee menu, 8 alternate colors would be available. Stealth Mode Bumblebee, Goldbug, Cliff Jumper, Wasp, First Aid, Laserbeak, his Dark of the Moon disguise.
Is your daddy home?
Glyph, and Searchlight. And these reskin options could definitely be unlockable. That goes for all future reskin options as well. The first 2 Decepticons are, naturally, Megatron and Starscream, the franchise's 2 biggest villains. For the sake of symmetry, Starscream also serves as the basis for 8 different recolors: Skywarp, Thundercracker, Ramjet, Dirge, Thrust, Slipstream, Acid Storm, and Sunstorm. My original idea was to give Skywarp and Thundercracker their own designated spots, but then I just realized, why don't I just make them Starscream recolors, because they literally are anyways. And then we can fit more characters. The next pairing is Windblade and RC. RC has 2 recolors available for her menu, Alita 1 and Chromia. While they would ideally have their own distinct slots, and Alita 1 did have her own slot in early brainstorming, the tight character limit pushed them out. Making them reskins was the best way to still include them. Having them be RC reskins serves as a handy reference to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the hit film from 2009.
RC twins! Target coming your way!
The next 2 Decepticons are Shockwave and Soundwave. Soundwave can be recolored as Electrostatic Soundwave, aka Sound Blaster, and as Electromagnetic Soundwave, aka the unreleased TFA toy that I happen to own, regardless of it not getting released. The next 2 Autobots are Grimlock and Rodimus Prime, rounding out the immediately unlocked Autobot cast. Grimlock's vehicle mode would likely be some sort of hover car tank-like thing, since a running T-Rex would be a very odd vehicle, although I guess it could work. The Transformers franchise has like 15 main character Autobots, so choosing the roster was a matter of deciding who was cut. On the Decepticon side of things, meanwhile, there's just the 4 main ones. Very clear cut. So for the rest of their roster, we get to be as wacky and wild as we want. The final 2 immediately available Decepticons are gonna be Knockout and Breakdown.
Ooh, yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
The first unlockable pair of Autobots would be the Science Bros, Wheeljack and Ratchet, with Ironhide being an available recolor of Ratchet. Every Mario Kart game has a few left-field wildcard characters. I decided to emulate that with my next 2 Decepticons, who are Bludgeon and Nightbird. Nightbird has 1 alternate skin, Shadow Striker. The final 2 Autobots on our list are going to be Blur and Ultra Magnus. There are a lot of really good Autobots who I could have gone with, but Blur ultimately edged them out because this is a racing game and he is a race car. Blur has the second to last recolors, Vortex Blur and Drift. Our final 2 Decepticon slots are taken by Clobber and Lockdown. The final recolors in the game belong to Lockdown, Blazing Lockdown, and Wild Rider. A lot of characters were cut and shuffled around last minute. I'd love for Jazz and Prowl to be a pair. I'd love for Blaster and Trax to be a pair. I'd love for Astrotrain and Blitzwing to be a pair. Who knows, maybe that'll be DLC. I just kinda ran out of room given the circumstances of the arbitrary limit that I put upon myself. Primal, Cheetor, Megatron, and Black Arachnia were in the lineup up until the last minute too, but then I remembered that the Transmetal forms are ugly and terrible, and otherwise they'd just be like animals on a racetrack, so I cut them. Anyway, that's our lineup, 20 different character models, but through immense cheating, we've stretched that to 46. Alex also had the idea for Cosmos to be Lakitu, which I really like. He's so silly looking, I love Cosmos. Mario Kart has a perfect balance of items that function in unique ways, so I basically decided that we needed to have, at the minimum, the Cybertronian equivalent of the green shell, red shell, blue shell, banana peel, starman, mushroom, bullet bill, and coins. The red shell and green shell would be replaced with neutron bombs. The green one's a standard missile, the red variation is heat-seeking. The blue shell is Squeaks. Squeaks, when launched, will relentlessly hunt down the first place racer. Nothing will stand in Squeaks' path. Banana peels become oil slicks, spilled behind the vehicle or launched in front. In the Starman's place is the Golden Lagoon. The mushroom will be replaced with a shard of red energon. In lieu of a bullet bill, we have a transwarp ball, which engulfs the vehicle and spits it out further up the pack. And finally, coins become energon crystals. The item boxes are energon cubes. In Mario Kart Double Dash, each team of racers has a special item that's exclusive to them. Only Mario or Luigi can receive a fireball. Only Yoshi or Birdo can receive an egg. I love Birdo. Birdo's so cool. Only Bowser or Bowser Jr. can receive a Bowser shell. Only Peach and Daisy can receive a heart, etc. However, if you mix and match characters, you up the odds to receive any given item. For example, if you race with Mario and Yoshi, you can get fireballs and eggs. If you race with Bowser Jr. and Peach, you can get a Bowser shell and a heart. The same goes for any combination of characters. This incentivizes mixing and matching. I had a whole lineup of items, but I don't think they were really good, and then I changed the whole roster at the last second. So I won't go over these, I won't waste your time. The only one that was kind of cool was the EMP generator, which basically you hit a car in front of you. They maintain their acceleration and momentum, but they lose their steering for like 10 seconds. But also, I feel like that'd be really frustrating if you were hit by the EMP blast. More frustrating than a normal item would be. So would that be fun? I don't know. I don't know if it was a good idea. Anyway, we can ignore that. We can move on. And now the main event, the race courses. A lot of these suggestions came from social media. I put out a post on Twitter and Instagram, and a lot of people replied with epic ideas. First is the Energon Cup. Race 1 is Autobot City, which is a simple race around the iconic Autobot City from Transformers the movie. Set at sunrise, everything's glowing orange, cool stuff. The second track would be Dinobot Island, a leisurely drive around, made treacherous by Dinobots and dinosaurs, rampaging across the track, set during the day. It's basically just Moo Moo Meadows, but with dinosaurs. The third race is the Lunar Base. You race across the moon's surface and through the crashed Decepticon starship. I haven't seen Armada, but Alex said this would be a good location. Capping the Energon Cup is the Lost Light. You speed around the corridors and outside the surface of Rodimus' starship, Lost Light. It's kind of like Daisy Cruiser, but in space. Next is the Vector Sigma Cup. The first race is Jasper, Nevada. You can speed through the winding mountain ranges in the small town of Jasper. You speed across the race courses that Knockout did in that one episode. You can maybe see the Autobot base in the distance. The second race is the Underwater Ruins from RID 2001. Just kind of like Thwomp Ruins, but just underwater. The third one is the Cybertronian Depth. One singular race down with 3 checkpoints, like Mount Wario. You race down from the Crystal City, through the Argon Sea, and then finally go down to the Well of Allsparks. And then lastly, we have Monster Planet Unicron. You race across the surface of Unicron, you enter him, you race around in there, maybe you burst out the glass of his eye at the end of the lap. Next up is the Matrix Cup. First race is the Cairo Showdown. You race around the pyramids of Giza and enter the Maw of Devastator. The last third of the race is probably like inside of Devastator, and then you burst out and cross the finish line and start the next lap. Next is Planet Junk. Race around the strange home world of the Junkions. I just imagine Cheeseland, but like tinted orange. Next is Detroit. Speed around the bustling city of Detroit and its mini landmarks, like Sumdac Tower. Watch out for traffic and passing trains. Maybe this could be a seasonal course like Animal Crossing, because Transformers Animated has multiple passing seasons to show the progression of time. It's the greatest show of all time. It's really good. It's a really good show. And then finally, our last race is called Titan's Return, and it's an orbital free fall from the Trypticon space station down to Metroplex at night. It's another 3 checkpoint race. It's based on that level from Fall of Cybertron, where, I don't know, they're falling or whatever. And then you land on Metroplex, like, at the end. Cool stuff. Then, our last cup, the most epic cup of all, the Allspark Cup. First, Velocitron. Alex informs me that Velocitron was in Transformers Cybertron, and it was a big part of the show, and it was cool. And I'll take his word for it, but I don't want to watch Transformers Cybertron because everything about it seems terrible. But anyway, yeah, you know, race around the race courses, big old race courses, awesome. Next, another race course on Cybertron. You're just kind of racing around, seeing landmarks like the Space Bridge Nexus, Auto Boot Camp, the Sonic Canyon. The last Cybertron course was based on Cyberverse. This one's more based on Animated, because I feel like those 2 shows have the prettiest Cybertrons. Next, we've got to get some Beast Wars representation, the Dark Side. Basically the Bowser's Castle of this game. The ship's tilted in the lava, you're racing around the inside of it, going outside a little bit. And finally, the last race of the game, you blast back and forth between the Ark and the Nemesis as they burn through the atmosphere of a strange organic planet. So you're driving inside of both the Nemesis and the Ark, kind of blasting back and forth out of like an auxiliary cannon. Each lap, the ships get closer to the Earth. Think of like the final mission of Fall of Cybertron, but as a race course. So, those are the 16 mainline race courses that I kind of brainstormed with Alex and with the internet. This game has 4 battle courses. The first one, Sentinel Prime's Chen is just like a big spherical arena. All the cars are driving around it, blasting shells at each other. Epic. The next is like the like arena thing from Transformers The Last Knight. It's like in the ocean, and Optimus is hitting Bumblebee for some reason. The next is the Clay Scrapyard from Transformers Robots in Disguise 2015. So that show has some semblance of representation in all of this. There's a lot of places to hide around there. I think that could be a really fun battle course. And finally, the K-On! Gladiatorial Pits, where Megatron fought as a gladiator. I think all of these would lend themselves really well for a battle arena. Transformers Kart. That was Transformers Kart. Genuinely curious, what are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Let me know in the comments below. And huge thank you to the Namebrand Company, who created the 3D render of Transformers Kart that you saw at the opening of the video. He's the one who made the Cybertron Falls fan films on youtube.com, the new website. And special thank you to Lyndaxy, who created the cover art and thumbnail art of Transformers Kart. Go support these epic artists.